Welcome into the Cowboys Report, presented today by Aura, the all-in-one digital safety tool helping keep you and your family's personal and financial information safe online. And they're giving you a free 14-day trial over at aura.com/chatsports. If you want an extra video this week, could come today, could come Friday, that would be 2 videos in those days, then like this one. Once we get to 1,300 likes on today's video, we will release the extra Cowboys Report vid, but the bosses say I cannot get there in the end, or we cannot do it until we get to that like number. So like the video right now. Let's talk Jourdan Lewis now, as there's some injury news. Kind of broke later in the evening last night. Tweaked his hamstring against the Chargers. He is now set/expected/going to miss the remainder of the preseason for the Cowboys and the rest of course, camp, which kind of wraps up later today with the second round of joint practices. He was unlikely to play in any preseason games, but he is hopeful to play in Week 1. Both the team and Lewis have that mindset. Here's what Jourdan Lewis had to say. I should be back for the first game. Now, I hope that is the case. I thought Jourdan Lewis had one of his better seasons in his entire Cowboys career. Yes, the completion percentage is higher, 66.2. Remember, that is very normal for nickel corners. I think it's always important to remember what the baseline, the benchmarks, what the expected numbers are. If you're allowing 67 on the outside, it's not nearly as good as 66 on the inside. A little high on the yards, like all the Cowboys corners were. They got thrown on a lot because they were winning games. 3 interceptions, 11 pass breakups. Although I will make note, he's gotten beat a couple times in camp by CeeDee Lamb and others, which, maybe that's to be expected since it is CeeDee Lamb. You're not going to see Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown in the Chargers preseason game either. That should not come as any real surprise. The Cowboys are not going to play their key cogs, their key starters in the preseason. We're going to come back to some of the other backups on this team, but between Kelvin Joseph, Nahshon Wright, and Daron Bland, in whatever order you want to rank them, plus another name not on this list, the Cowboys have pretty damn good depth when it comes to the cornerback room. So more on the Jourdan Lewis injury and some potential replacements, both external and internal, coming up in a second. But first, what's your panic level over this hamstring injury for Jourdan Lewis? Definitely should be higher than what it was for CeeDee Lamb, who cut his foot doing clown stuff, whatever exactly that is, because hamstrings can linger, but it doesn't appear to be a bad injury. So sound off for me in the comments section. Panic level from 1 to 100. 1 on the low end, 100 on the high end. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. All right, some free agent corners. I want to at least mention these guys who are out there. Chris Harris has been a nickel in the past. Janoris Jenkins, Bouye can play some nickel. Joe Haden, Kevin King are your more notable outside guys. But because this injury should not cost Jourdan Lewis any games, and because this is a team where they don't have any depth problems at corner, I don't think Dallas needs to sign a cornerback option. I think they are fine with the players they have on their roster. This is not like wide receiver where you're in dangerous position. You've got a second-round pick in Kelvin Joseph. You've got a third-round pick in Nahshon Wright. A impressing already day 3 pick in Daron Bland, who I was very impressed by his nickel duties in the first preseason game. And you've even got another draft pick, Israel Mukuamu. As we'll go more in depth on here in a little bit, he had a great interception of, I believe it was Justin Herbert, at joint practices and one-on-one drills. He's been getting some cornerback reps. We're going to break down each of these 4 options to replace Jourdan Lewis. Obviously, some would require Anthony Brown to shift inside to nickel, but pick a corner for me. KJ for Kelvin Joseph, NW for Nahshon Wright, IM for Israel Mukuamu, or DB for Daron Bland. Let's start with Kelvin Joseph, who played sparingly last year. When he played, he did a pretty good job. The issue for Joseph is it's not been a great offseason and preseason for him. I think he's in need of a spark to boost that confidence and start playing a little bit better. He's been outplayed by several in camp, but he has the most raw talent of anyone on that list. If I am very curious how they approach joint practices today. I think you'll see a rotation of a lot of different guys. Give Anthony Brown some slot reps, play Kelvin Joseph, and probably Nahshon Wright on the outside as well. Wright had a pretty good camp by all reports, but that game against the Broncos was, this is bad. This is not what you want out of Nahshon Wright. 2 flags and an TD allowed. He didn't have it. 7 of 7, 118 yards. I'm actually maybe most intrigued by Daron Bland, actually. He got nickel corner reps in the preseason, and I thought he was awesome. Willing to hit, great in short areas, showed burst to fly downhill on those shorter passes. So I am very intrigued by Daron Bland. I wouldn't mind if he gets the chance to be the next man up. I think it'll be a rotation. And do not rule out Israel Mukuamu quite yet. He's had reps at corner during camp, even got some reps occasionally with the first team when they were rotating in and out of other guys. So I would not rule out Izzy Mukuamu as a dark horse contender for a bigger cornerback role. And this is important for all 4 guys. It gives them chances to show what they can do and earn some trust from the coaching staff. Today's show is made possible by our friends over at Aura, financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online and device security for you and up to 5 members of your family. Sorry, Producer Jack, your cats don't count. I know you think they're people, but they're not. A free 14-day trial over at aura.com/chatsports. They consistently and extensively monitor your personal information online. They keep your identity safe. With a free, cancel at any time, 14-day trial, there's no reason not to try it out. Aura.com/chatsports. That link will be in the comment section and in the description of today's show. Let's talk joint practices briefly here. We'll go overall, but lead with Dak Prescott. He's the quarterback, right? That makes sense. Prescott got a ton of work at joint practice against the Chargers on Wednesday. In 7-on-7 drills, a perfect 8 for 8. Of course, that's often more geared to the offense, so that makes sense. Team drills, not as successful. 9 of 16, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The first INT was a deep ball towards Jalen Tolbert. Remember, no CeeDee Lamb in joint practices. Honestly, just a bad throw. Underthrew it, not in great position. The second interception, even the biggest of the Dak haters can't blame him for that one. That was in the hands of Zeke Elliott, who I guess wasn't ready for it because there was pressure coming. And Zeke dropped it, and it went right into the hands of Kyle Van Noy. So 1 INT on Dak, 1 on Zeke Elliott. And I do think the sizable difference in 7-on-7 and team drills, and based on all of the camp clips that came out of it, we can probably continue to be a little bit worried about the offensive line. You might have seen some of the reps. I know Michael Gelkin had a great 2-minute drill clip of first play, Tyron Smith gets worked by Khalil Mack, who overall Smith played well. I'm not too worried about him. Terrence Steele was okay-ish. There was also, and this is maybe my biggest concern long-term, if I were an opposing defense, I would run stunts at Tyler Smith every given chance. He's new, he's young, and I think that was an issue on the interception to Zeke. It was. Smith, they ran a stunt. Khalil Mack came around untouched because Tyler Smith had bad technique. His head was down, and he was locked into his defensive tackle and didn't pick up the stunt, which is why teams run stunts. They're very tough to stop, and when you're doing team drills and you're often doing a lot of 2-minute drill work, it's an obvious passing down. It is tougher on the offense from that standpoint. Not having CeeDee Lamb, having the offensive line as we're all concerned about, fine with it out of Dak Prescott. Not perfect, obviously, although he didn't throw as many picks as Justin Herbert did, by the way. But then again, Dak doesn't have Herbert's arm, so it's different pros, different cons there in the end. But I do have concerns about this offense. I would be lying to you if I was like, oh, yeah, easy top 5 offense. I am concerned about the offensive line struggling again. They were bad down the stretch last year. I feel better about their run blocking, honestly. But the pass offense, I think there's going to be issues. Also, I didn't put penalties on here, but yeah, penalties counts as well. Having watched the Cooper Rush offense in the preseason, I am worried the Cowboys are not going to attack them. That was an issue if we go back a couple years ago when they were banged up at right tackle with no La'el Collins. When this Cowboys team does not trust the offensive line, they will not go downfield. That despite having a quarterback who was 5th in deep ball accuracy last year. So whatever your eye test says about it's not a good aerial attack, you're wrong. but I want them to attack downfield. Not having Michael Gallup, also a factor in that. God forbid CeeDee Lamb actually gets hurt. We're talking about an early season offense led by a third-round rookie, Noah Brown, and dudes that casual fans outside of the Cowboys haven't heard of. That's an issue. I'm also worried about the lack of creativity and stubbornness. That's more so back into the year. I am concerned, expecting whatever we want to say about, hey, pre-snap motion, trick plays, Kellen Moore, great the first half of the year, and then it falls back into a Jason Garrett-style, Scotland-style offense for reasons I don't fully understand. Last year, depending on what metrics you look at, the Cowboys overall were a pretty much consensus top 5 offense. I don't think many of us are expecting that this year between the personnel losses and the sheer lack of confidence in play caller Kellen Moore. So sound off for me. Where do you think the Cowboys offense will rank this year? Brief note here on the defense. The Cowboys defense is clearly ahead of the offense right now, which, again, isn't a huge surprise with the types of personnel moves that have been made in recent years, mainly this past 2 years, I should say, and the level of difference in coordinator confidence, Dan Quinn versus Kellen Moore. The number of times I've been like, oh, yeah, you can do this, and this on defense. You can be creative here and here, use this guy in a fun way. Dan Quinn showing you can do that. I don't say that about Kellen Moore. Like, we could talk about how Micah Parsons get used creatively. Can't say it about Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb quite at this point. So the defense, overall, a good showing. Both the Chargers and Cowboys have really good defenses, so I think the overall results from day one of joint practice, relatively expected. Also, it's practice, so criticism and praise, like we've done here today, totally fine. Also, don't panic. It's August 18th. Now, we will have chances to panic throughout the year, and if week 1 of the preseason showed anything, man, we got to pace ourselves. Hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on anything right here at the Cowboys Report. Let's talk some two other offensive player notes, and I'll go a little bit quicker here on these. KaVontae Turpin had the awesome sideline catch. That came from Cooper Rush, by the way, in joint practices. The Cowboys have said, leaked, hinted that they want to work him into the offense a little bit more. He is already the favorite to handle punt returns unless the next 2 preseason games there's multiple muffs or whatever. Turpin is on track to make the team for the Dallas Cowboys. So when it comes to the wide receiver room, not counting James Washington will begin the year on IR, you're going to have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, and I'm going to put Noah Brown in your lock category. Those 4 are making your team. That leaves anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 roster spots since Turpin offers you special teams value. That comes down to if Turpin's safe, that leaves 1 to 2 spots. Dennis Houston, Sima Fehoko, and TJ Vasher. Dennis Houston has gotten a lot of reps with the ones. The team trusts him as the coaching staff trusts him, I should say. Fehoko has been the more hyped guy, bigger play guy as of late. Vasher started better, but it's cooled off. 2 preseason games left. Pick one to cut. DH for Dennis Houston, TJ for TJ Vasher, SF for Sima Fehoko. A player we have not talked about really at all here on the Cowboys Report, but I'm going to give some praise to. How about Braylon Jones? You're going, who the hell's Braylon Jones? I understand. He got some first-team reps at right guard, kind of I call it the rotational reps, like, all right, Zach Martin gets breather because he's a vet. Jones got some of those chances. Now, look, he's behind Zach Martin, behind Tyler Smith, behind Connor McGovern, but maybe there's a non-zero chance he beats out Matt Farniok for a job as the backup interior offensive lineman. UDFA out of Houston in 2021. Here's what Jones said after practice. I felt good out there. I still got things to work on, being more fundamentally sound and stuff like that, but I felt good out there. I think watching as best as we can and as boring as it can be occasionally, the offensive line in the preseason is important. It is very tough to find even just passable offensive linemen in terms of the modern-day NFL when it comes to backups. Those guys, to be honest, they don't really exist. I was much more impressed by Isaac Alarcon and Braylon Jones than I was even, Josh Ball and the occasional reps given to Matt Farniok, who played some center. So I wouldn't rule out those guys as maybe surprise roster candidates for the Cowboys.